Hari Bol.
I was just informed yesterday and confirmed, but I haven't heard it announced here, that according to the World Sankirtan newsletter, ISKCON Pune Yatra was #1 book distributing community for the month of August. Did you all know that? Everybody knew? It's old news? How come you just told me yesterday? Parshuram told me last night. I thought it was like cutting edge news. So see, I'm supposed to be in communications. I don't know anything. Anyway, let me add my congratulations to the old news and congratulate ISKCON Pune. That's quite an achievement. That's wonderful, historic. And also I'll just mention, since it was in the description, I'll put in a little plug, if I may, quickly. ISKCON News. If you want to keep up with what's going on around the news, news.iskcon.org or iskconnews.org. You can go and keep track and send us your stories of all the wonderful things that are happening here. Actually, I might like the harmonium better. This is a long ways away. Thank God you switch back, okay? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29. Chapter is entitled Talks Between Narada and King Prachinabarhi, text number 2. Naradu Vacha Purusham Puranjanam Vidyad Yadvyanaktyatmana Puram Ekadvitri Chatushpadam Bahupadam Upadakam Narada Uvacha Purusham Puranjanam Vidyad Yadvyanaktyatmana Puram Ekadvitri Chatuspadam Bahupadam Upadakam Narada Uvacha Purusham Puranjanam Vidyad Yadvyanaktyatmana Puram Ekadvitri Chatuspadam Bahupadam Upadakam Vaishnavis, ladies. Word meanings. Narada Uvacha. Narada said, Purusham, the living entity, the enjoyer. Puranjanam, King Puranjan. Vidyat, one should know. Yat, inasmuch Vyanaki, he produces Atmanaha, of himself, Puram, dwelling place, Eka, one, Dvi, two, three, Chaturpadam, with 4 legs, Bahupadam, with many legs, Apadakam, without legs. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The great sage Narada Muni continued, you must understand that Paranjan, the living entity, transmigrates according to his own work into different types of bodies, which may be one-legged, two-legged, three-legged, four-legged, many-legged, or simply legless. Transmigrating into these various types of bodies, the living entity, as the so-called enjoyer, is known as Paranjan. So please repeat. The great sage Narada Muni continued. You must understand that Paranjan, the living entity, transmigrates according to his own work into different types of bodies, which may be one-legged, two-legged, three-legged, four-legged, many-legged, or legless. It's like in ISKCON we have eggless cakes, so you can get a legless body. Transmigrating into these various types of bodies, the living entity, as the so-called enjoyer, is known as Paranjan. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. How the spirit soul transmigrates from one type of body to another is nicely described here. The word ekapad, one-legged, refers to ghost, for it is said that ghosts walk on one leg. The word dvipad, meaning biped, refers to human beings. When he is old and invalid, the human being is supposed to be a triped, or three-legged, because he walks with the help of a stick or some kind of cane. All the young brahmacharis are laughing. Don't laugh. It's coming. Don't laugh at those three-legged old men. Of course, the word chatuspada refers to quadrupeds or animals. The word bahupada refers to those creatures who have more than 4 legs. There are many insects, such as the centipede, and also many aquatic animals that have many legs. The word apadaka, meaning without legs, refers to, anybody know? Serpents. Serpents, right? No legs. The name Paranjan indicates one who enjoys possessing different types of bodies. 1 leg, 2 leg, 3 legs, 4 legs, many legs. No legs. Can enjoy. His mentality for enjoyment in the material world is accommodated by different types of bodies. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Gyanatam Yandasha Janan Anjana Shalakaya Chakshru Minitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Miro Bishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So this is a continuation of the regular verses that are being studied here in Pune. So we're continuing to read the story of King Paranjan, which is an analogy taught by Narada Muni to King Prajanabarhi Shat, or sometimes referred to as King Prajanabarhi, who's the father of the very famous Prachetas. So right now the Bachetras are away. They're performing all their austerities, the famous purports about the need to cooperate together that are emphasized so much within our ISKCON society. So this is the story of the father. The father had his own challenges. So it's a very long story. Sometimes it's similar in our ISKCON society. You know, young men and women come to give their lives to Krishna consciousness, and it's rather quick. Taking up the process, sometimes the fathers, the mothers, it's a little longer process. So here, King Prachinabhari, 4 chapters. 4 chapters of the Bhagavatam, and with this particular edition, 380 pages. Just Narada Muni trying to wake him up. It was a very, very, there's other sections, other stories sometimes, it's just like 2 pages. The whole story is there. But this story, 380 pages. So the king is very fortunate. Narada Uvacha. Narada is giving him instructions. And we're also very fortunate by the blessings of our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, who is the preeminent Siksha Guru for all of us. And all of our previous Acharyas and Srila Vyasadeva and Narada Muni, especially here, that we're able to hear the same narration. It's quite amazing. We come together in the mornings and we read Bhagavatam, and it's like, what are we actually doing? Well, let's go today and see what Narada Muni wants to instruct us. Or tomorrow we can hear from Vidura, or after that we can hear from Maitreya, or let's hear what Bhishma is instructing, or let's hear what Yudhisthira has to say today. So in that way, today, the exciting story is brought to you by Narada Muni. So it's not, it's the same instructions. We're actually able to hear the same instructions, and in one sense even more so because we have all the commentaries. So it's something we should always try to appreciate, how fortunate we are when we hear Bhagavatam class, or when we read Bhagavatam. It's not just that we're reading a book or some interesting story. It's a very interesting story. We can see how, we'll talk about that more, but Narada is telling this whole thing in this story just to try to attract the mind of the king, who's kind of bewildered. So it's not just an interesting story. It's not just some ritualistic scripture. Sometimes there's scripture, do this sacrifice, do this puja, chant these mantras, you get this result. It's much, 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 much more than that. And it's described actually in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, famous verse many of you probably know. Krishne sva dharmapagate dharma gyanadbi saha kalo nasta trisham esha pona narko dunodi taha. Again, glorifying the Bhagavatam. This Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. The key point. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance of the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So, persons who have lost their vision shall get light from this Purana. And we too, by hearing this Purana, by hearing the instructions of Narada Muni, we also can be delivered from our darkness, from the ignorance that affects us, just by hearing the instructions. And therefore, in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, also the invocation is there, Om Agyana Tamyandasha Anjana Shalakaya. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. So this concept of darkness and being in ignorance is something that's there throughout the Vedic instructions, throughout the Vaishnava teachings, that we're also born in darkness, but that our spiritual masters and the Shastra, they open our eyes. So here the king, similarly, he is, although very advanced in life, he's also in darkness. He's thinking he's doing pretty good. I'm a king, I have whatever, 1,000 sons? How many Pachetas are there, you remember? 10,000. 10 sons. Okay, that's quite a few. Anybody here have 10 sons? Okay, so we had a lot of sons. So we sent his sons. He's got a lot of sons. He's the king. Very powerful, very cultured, but at the same time, he's in darkness. In the very beginning of this story, let's see. In the very beginning, in chapter 4, see, chapter 25. Let's go back, here, the very beginning. Explains that while the princes were undergoing austerity, Narada Muni meets with the king. He says, "My dear king," he just asks a question, "what do you desire to achieve by performing all these fruitive activities?" It's like you might meet someone on the street today. "Excuse me, sir, I notice you're rushing to work. What do you hope to achieve by rushing to work today?" Isn't it? And usually they're in such a hurry they don't have time to talk to you. But it's quite an unusual question. Well, what do you mean? I'm going to work. I've got things to do. I've got meetings. I run a big company. We're going to make a big deal today. We're going to make a lot of money. I'm going to impress my boss and achieve so many things. But Narada's saying, "Excuse me, sir. You're the king. You're not on the bus going to work. You're the king." That's a few notches up from the businessman who's on the train or the bus. "My dear king, what do you desire to achieve by performing these fruit activities? The chief aim of life is to get rid of all miseries and enjoy happiness." He's even explaining it in a way a materialistic person can hear. Right? Get rid of miseries and enjoy happiness. And the man on the bus of the king's going to say, "Of course. I'm going to conquer another kingdom and get rid of the miseries and enjoy happiness." He says, "But these two things cannot be realized by fruitive activity." And then the king, again, the first couple verses of this whole long section, the king replies, "O great soul Narada, my intelligence is entangled in fruitive activities." He's a little bit ahead of the typical man on the bus, right? You go and distribute books or Harinam and say, "Excuse me, sir, what do you hope to achieve by your hard work?" Rarely will they say, "Well, I'm quite entangled in fruit activities, and therefore I do not know what is the ultimate goal of life. Kindly instruct me in pure knowledge so that I can get out of the entanglement of fruit activities." So based on those those questions, Narada asks him, "What do you hope to achieve?" And that's his question. And then the king comes back and says, "I'm kind of bewildered. Can you please enlighten me in spiritual knowledge?" So this whole discussion goes on. So so the first instruction really for us, reminder in this whole section, is that we shouldn't go along with the kind of flow of modern thinking that a person who's materially advanced are definitely better off in terms of what's really important in life. We live in a culture, worldwide culture today, that's propagating this idea because it's basically good for the economy, isn't it? And generally all over the world, whether, so-called even communist countries, and there's not too many of them these days, or capitalist countries, or west, east, north, south, generally there's a sense that the economy is growing, everything is good, isn't it? If the economy is growing, you re-elect the president. Or if the economy is good, you make him president or prime minister for life. Oh, very nice. How are things going? Well, the economy is pretty good. Like in America, I know there's a lot of turmoil, but I have one friend that works in the banking industry, and I was talking with him recently, and I said, "Things are kind of a mess." He said, "No, the gross national product's going up." I was like, okay, that's one measurement. That's one way to measure things. So that's kind of the modern way to measure things, but actually, Narada is saying, "My dear king, fruitive activities, that's not really the ultimate goal of life." And although there's this modern idea to just try to, gain more money, gain more power, the Bhagavatam's saying, "Excuse me, my dear king, my dear sir, madam, excuse me, sir, actually, what are you rushing so much for?" And we can see that in recent years especially. I mean, I'm in my mid-60s, so it's kind of like, you study history, but then as you get older, your life actually has a substantial amount of history. So definitely in the last few years, looking at globally, and even people, great thinkers and people that analyze society, even amongst materialistic people, are also making these same analysis that things are heating up even faster, and the desire for profit at any cost has become almost like overtaking all other sense of values in society. Not completely, of course, and not for everybody, but at a much greater pace than in the past. And along with that, the desire for profit, the desire for the whole upsurge of nationalism all around the world. And nationalism not so much in, well, let's help my people while we help everybody else. But nationalism often is like, well, let's help my people, and we experience in my part of the world, and secure the borders and keep those other people out. It's all for us. It's not for them. So we know from the Shastra, us and them, is that a product of the mode of goodness? No, what is it? Is that a product of understanding the undivided soul in every living being? Is that a product of seeing the Paramatma in the heart? No, it's a product of the mode of passion, misunderstanding, thinking I'm this body, I'm American, or I'm Russian, or I'm Indian, or I'm Hindu, or Muslim, or Pakistani, or white, or black, or green, or yellow. Like here, right? Am I yellow? Am I white? Am I saffron? It's just the color cloth. It's just a temporary expression of the soul within. And because of this increased drive, it's practically unchecked, and it's often at the expense of others. And because of that, it's driving more conflict, more exploitation, more exploitation around the world, and more consequences. Individually, people again that study these things, globally there's more depression than, I don't know how long they've been studying these things, but it's a huge problem. People are pushing harder and harder for further results, and well, how's the result? Well, how's the result of your fruit activity? Oh, well, depression's going up. I mean, to give a whole class on now, they're studying about loneliness is becoming such a big factor. People, even here, it's interesting in India, even you see like the, a kind of a not very affluent rickshawwala, but even sometimes the guys that are still peddling, you don't see too many people peddling, but that's someone who's leading a pretty difficult life, but he's got a cell phone, he's got a mobile, isn't it? He's probably on Facebook, He could be following, the Prime Minister could be following him, what do I know? They could be friends on Facebook, you never know. But they say that, sometimes people today, you might have 5,000 friends. Right? Sometimes young people, they have hundreds or thousands of people that are following them on Instagram or Facebook or whatever their particular flavor of social media is. But oftentimes they don't have one friend they can talk to. I get thousands. I can spend all day just skimming. Oh, look at those pictures. Oh, yeah, she looks happy. He looks happy. Great. But can you call up one of those people and really talk about them? I don't know anybody that well. So, such is the effect. And they're studied. It's not just you can study these things. So individually, a lot of problems. Socially, increased in racial tension, ethnic tension, so many difficulties, so many wars are going on again. And globally, pretty much accepted. The planet's heating up. The economy's heating up. It's like, well, excuse me, it's kind of like if you have a car and you've got the car on, you say, how's your car run? It's doing really well, it's running well. Yeah, but it's overheating. You see the steam coming out from under the engine? You see that gauge going higher and higher? If you don't check that, you're going to have a big pooh, and the engine burns up. Isn't it? So we're being told the planet's burning up. We were discussing yesterday in the GBC College about sometimes, progress within our movement. Sometimes it seems to be a little slow for various reasons. It's like standing on a glacier, it's not moving. The sad fact is these days it's not moving down, it's melting up. Isn't it? In America there's a place called Glacier National Park. And I remember going there on my way to eventually become a devotee. I was traveling around the country, and you could stop and see the glaciers. And today, there's practically no glaciers in Glacier National Park. So they're going to have to rename it. Sandy Beach National Park. Something, I don't know what they're going to name it. So there's products in there. Because of this ignorance. So the king was in a similar situation, so therefore we're hearing about Narada's instruction. Again, not just because it's a story, but it's for us to hear. So, Narada Muni, because the king was in ignorance, he came to instruct him. In the same way he's in the Bhagavatam, he's coming to instruct us. And as do Narada Muni and Srila Prabhupada and all our gurus, they've come to instruct us. So when we're reading these texts, when we're hearing them, we should keep in mind, actually, this instruction is for me. It's not just a story out of some ancient past, but this actually, Narada Muni's talking to me. We should all think like that. Wow, look what Narada Muni's talking to me. So this takes us to today's verse with the king who is directly being instructed. And Narada is telling him, you must understand. He's told this whole story. It starts, I think, on page 321. He's gone on many, many pages now. Many, many pages. He told the whole story. And the king comes back, the first verse of this chapter yesterday. My dear Lord, I couldn't completely appreciate the story. It's a long story. Those of you who've been here, it's a long story. Because I didn't really understand it. Those who are perfect in spiritual knowledge can understand, but for us who are overly attached, it's difficult to understand the purpose. That was text 1. So text 2 on the board we're reading today. Narada, the great sage Narada Muni says, you must understand. That's how Prabhupada translates. It says Narada Uvacha, but Prabhupada clarifies the intensity for us. And Narada Muni says, you must understand. So what is it that he needs to understand? That you just heard the story about Paranjan. You need to understand, my dear king, you are Paranjan. You must understand. And that gets into, this first verse of a whole series. The living entity's gone through bodies with no legs. My dear king, you might have been a snake. You've probably been a snake. One leg, maybe a ghost a few times. Now you think very proud you have 2 legs. Oh, how wonderful. But very soon 3. Could be next time 4. Could be next time many. You must understand. And it's a little bit, he's kind of saying, you fool. He started out, my dear king, what do you hope to achieve? And then the king said, actually, I don't know. Maybe you should instruct me. So then, like the Gita, those roles change. Starts out kind of like, friendly talks. Hi, king. I'm just flying around the universe. Thought I'd stop and see how you're doing. By the way, what do you hope to gain? He said, I never really thought about that. Can you please instruct me? And then he goes through this whole story, and he goes, I didn't really understand. You fool. You fool. It's all about you. What do you mean you don't understand? This is your life. You're in big trouble. Wake up, fool. Just like Prabhupada talks about in the Gita. Right? He emphasize that point many times. Friendly talks ended at a certain point. Arjuna and Krishna have this friendly relationship, but then Arjuna's in big trouble. He said, take me to the middle of the battlefield, and he realizes, oh my gosh, look who's over there. My grandfather's over there. My guru's over there. Even the Kauravas, we hated them for years, but if we kill them, our spoils will be tainted with blood. If we lose, my brother, everyone's going to die. Krishna, help. And Prabhupada said, Krishna, first thing, you fool. You're not that body. So he's saying same thing, you fool. You're not that body, but you're going to get a lot of them. If you don't, like they say in the West, if you don't clean up your act, you need to clean up your act. So this is the story of Paranjan, of the living entity, of us. How the soul becomes attracted to matter. This is the whole analogy he gives. He probably gives her elaborate purports. The soul becomes attracted to matter. The soul develops different kind of... It's like, remember those really fun hunting trips you had? A lot of fun, right? Okay. They're out there. And they're coming after you. So eventually the king's response is, oh, after 4 chapters and 380 pages, I get it. And it's described at the very end of the whole session. His sons are still gone. But he finally realizes the urgency of it. He gives instructions to his ministers to give to his sons when they get back, and he takes off for spiritual cultivation. He finally realized, oh my goodness, this is serious. This is really very, very serious information that you're sharing with us. So, Narada, like the whole Bhagavatam, read this verse, brilliant as the sun. Narada, like the Bhagavatam, like the Guru, like the Vaishnavas, is giving light to the king. Why? Because the king's in darkness. And if we just think about it, it's like interesting, a minute ago the lights went out, right? So if all the lights go out, there's no sun, if there's no light, it's a very powerful analogy, because if the light goes out, you simply can't see things properly. And if you can't see things properly, one, you're in danger, Because you don't know, you're walking along and there's a hole in the ground, or there's some sharp object, or just like sometimes, in the kitchen, hopefully we have nice practices in the kitchen. Usually there's a rule, no knives in the soapy water, because you can't see, isn't it? So you're in darkness. Hopefully none of you have ever had this problem, but you go and you think there's just pots in the sink, and you stick your hands in, oh, there's a knife in there. You didn't see it. So, kitchen acharyas, if you're not doing that, knives should be kept separate. You wash them separately, because in the dark, dirty water, you can cut yourself. So there's danger there. So in a similar way, when there's darkness, we can't see properly, there's danger there. You can't even see yourself. When it's dark, you can't see yourself. And also, you can miss opportunities. You walk through some room and maybe there's something very valuable there, but you miss the opportunity. Or you can't see properly, you might step on something that's valuable and damage it. So this analogy of darkness is an important one. And therefore, again, Narada says, what do you hope to gain? And he's shedding light for the king. And I was thinking about this getting ready for class. What he's really doing, he's shedding light. He's taking away the darkness, and to use the modern terminology, he's trying to help the king put everything in context. He's saying, hey king, you're sitting there like the king, you got your sons, you got your queen, you've got your power, you've got your everything you're enjoying. But let's put this in context. You have 2 legs. Very soon, you're going to have 3 legs. After that, you might have 1 leg. Or you might have 4 legs. In fact, you will have 4 legs. And some of those other creatures with 4 legs, they're coming after you. Another nice American expression. They're coming after you. And then you might have many legs. Now that's like really, you get many legs. That's not necessarily like the king of heaven with a horse with 4 legs underneath you. No, that's not what he's talking about here. You might get many legs. In fact, you might get no legs. So it's like, king, you're here for a few more days. Let's put this in context. So, in a similar way, we're meant to also make sure we see things in context. Human form of life is meant to see things in context. That's why this whole idea of how this economic development, it's really, it's when it's overheated, it's harmful in a lot of ways. One, as we mentioned, people become distressed and depressed and too much pressure and all of that, and the globe heats up and all kind of economic crises and war and tension between people. That's terrible enough. But on top of that, when people's minds are on overdrive for material things, they are completely clouded for any sense of spiritual life. They lose the context. So similarly, when Narada says, my dear king, what are you trying to do here? Like, oh, I never thought about that. What am I trying to do here? Right? And many of us, at some point in time, we met a devotee, or we got a book, or we came to the temple, and in one way or the other, people said to us, what are you trying to achieve? And somehow, by the grace of Guru and other spiritual forces like Mahaprasadam, we slowed down long enough to say, yeah, what am I doing here? See? Now, a lot of people can't do that because, the thought of like, what are you doing here? It's like, well, what do you mean what I'm doing here? I'm doing what everybody else is doing, and I'm trying to beat everybody, and there's no other option. That's what most people think. There's no other option. That's why when they see devotees chanting on the street, or I remember having an experience years ago, I used to distribute books full time, and I can remember sometimes like approaching somebody with a book. I remember this one person in particular, nice guy, and just say, hi, how you doing? Great. Where are you going? Great. Okay, let me show you this. He was a friendly person. As soon as I don't want that. No, thank you. And I could just see just a man who, he knows what's in that book. That book's going to tell him that there's another option. And he's like, I got my plans. I know where I'm going. I'm King Prachinabarhi. I'm the king. I'm on top. I'm enjoying in so many ways. And that book's going to tell me that it's all short-lived and it's temporary, and I don't want that book. Isn't it? Even like the classmates of Prahlad. Prahlad started instructing them about spiritual life. Then they're like, hey, Prahlad, come on, we're 5 years old. Give us a break. Let us enjoy for a while. Prahlad's like, no, you don't understand. This is serious stuff. So the king's kind of like the same mood. Hey, Narada, thanks for coming. Can you bless me? Because I'm really enjoying life. And it's really good you came, because you can bless me. I can enjoy even more. But, he's got enough intelligence. Narada says, hey, what do you hope to enjoy here? Like, well, actually, I'm not, I don't really know. And so because he had that opening, so the Narada could tell him. So we too are constantly urged through the Shastra and just through our life experiences and through the Guru and through the Vaishnavas to make sure we keep things in context. And it's really, really important, because the whole world practically, they are in darkness, and especially in this sense, they don't see the context. You say to people like, excuse me, sir, but you're like destroying the environment by your short-term economic gain? And do you understand what that's going to do for your children and your grandchildren? It's like, whoa, I don't want to hear that. I just want to enjoy sense gratification. Hey, we're cutting costs by 3%. I'm going to get a salary. I'm going to get like another, I'm going to get another lakh of rupees as a bonus. And you're like, wow, we're moving forward here. Like, well, no, actually, sir, you're going backwards. Whoa, I don't want to hear that. Because the context. So, there's that oft-quoted story of the deer. He's on the edge of the forest, and he looks off in the distance. He says, oh, water. He doesn't understand the context. Like, no, excuse me, my dear, that's a desert. No. I see water. No. That's a desert. Understand the big picture. Turn on the lights. You are in darkness. You don't understand the context. No, I see water. So he runs in, and we know the story. He runs in the desert, and there's no water. And then he looks further in the desert. Oh, it's over there. I just have to go a little further. So King Prachinabarhi, I just have to enjoy my life a little more, kill a few more animals, and conquer a few more kingdoms. Or Paranjan, I just have to enjoy my senses a little bit more. But in the end, no. So that instruction is there. No, stop, wait, see things in context. So like we see today, I got a chance yesterday, met one of the voice programs, was talking with some of the young men who are in the university there. We're talking about how these days, people in general, but especially young people they target, try to encourage them smoke and drink. Party. But Vaishnavas and the saintly persons, they say, okay, wait, okay, my dear king, you're enjoying so much sense gratification, but what's the result? So in the same way, my dear young people, my dear materialistic people, you want to smoke and drink, let's look at the context. What's the context? Because that's the thing. Wait a minute. What's the context? Let's turn on the lights here. What's the actual experience? I flew recently one of my trips back and forth to the United States where I live and India. Stopped at some country. I took some pictures actually. And there apparently they have really strict laws about informing people about smoking. And I had to stop and take a bunch of pictures. I thought this is really, in one sense it's really good that they have such strong advertising. On the other hand, it's really bizarre. Because you walk up, there's like a counter, like almost the size of this pillar, like full of cartons of cigarettes. And big red signs, like you would think, like if there's a highway construction and they make a big hole in the ground and they have a sign, danger, there's big red signs, smoking kills. And they have pictures on some of the packages of people like with cancer, and they have like the signs that say, this product causes cancer. Like big, not like little tiny print, like big. And I was thinking, well, why do they have this pillar right in the front? Obviously nobody's buying this stuff. Because any retail person knows you put your best-selling products right in front. And it's right in front so people can grab a few packs as they're running through. Because you buy them in the airport, you save a few dollars. So guys think, wow, I can save a few dollars. I'm going to buy all my cigarettes here. Excuse me, wait, what's the context? What's the context? Similarly, young people, they're encouraged to, like, drink today. Okay, have a few drinks, feel a little like lightheaded. Like, wait a minute. What's the context? Okay? Maybe like a few minutes, a couple hours, you feel a little like happy. So what about tomorrow? What are you doing to your liver? What are you doing to your kidneys? What are you doing to your brain cells? Let's see things in context. Let's see things in context. So, and today, even in India, I mean, there's so many things. We go down the list. People encouraged to eat meat because it's stylish, it's modern. I know a lot of people from India come to America. Even some become devotees. They'll say, first few years I was here, I started eating meat because everybody told me that's what you're supposed to do. If you can live in America, you got to eat meat. Why? Because it's stylish. Wait a minute. Let's put things in context. It's bad for your body. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for your consciousness. It's bad for the animals. It's bad for the planet. Let's put in context. Like, you can eat something and you think you get a couple of moments of enjoyment, but put it in context. So Narada Muni is using this story to say to the king, wait. There's so many varieties of sense gratification. Just wait, my dear king. See things in context. And he's told him this whole story, and then the king says, I don't get it. So he tells him again. And it's interesting because if you think about it, the king was so dull, he had to be told twice. Okay? Now we're reading it. Narada tells it. Prabhupada explains it. Narada tells it again. Prabhupada explains it. How many times? So don't think bad of the king. He was told twice. We're going to be told 4 times, and still we may not get it. Isn't it? So we have to be very, very careful. Tell again and again and again. But in a similar way, we should be very careful. Sometimes we may lose patience with others. Whether they're other devotees, it's like, well, why don't you get this? Or more often, materialistic people think, well, wait a minute, some of you people look like you're in darkness, or you're a little dull, why don't you get it? Why don't you be like me? I'm so spiritually advanced. That's another manifestation of our foolishness or our ignorance, because really, like Narada was so patient, he told the story twice. And in the Gita, Prabhupada says that Lord Krishna was prepared to tell the whole Bhagavad Gita again. Arjuna, you confused about anything? Anything you don't understand? Prabhupada said he was prepared to tell the whole story again. It's that important. And he's got that much desire to share the message with Arjuna. So this is also our mission. It's ISKCON's mission. It's Narada's mission. And as Srila Prabhupada wrote when he landed first came to the United States, and he was in the Boston Harbor before he went on to New York City to start this society, he was praying his famous prayer. He was praying, my dear Lord Krishna, how will I make them hear? Like Narada's trying to make him hear. And we're trying to help other people hear, trying to bring them out of darkness. So Prabhupada prayed like that. How will I make them hear? How will this message of Srila Vyasadeva enter their hearts? So we should all pray to try to fulfill the prayer of Prabhupada. First of all, to make sure it enters our heart. Prabhupada wanted to enter everybody's heart, but especially enter the devotee's heart, those that are trying to take this message up. For us to also see, we make decisions every day. Words come out of our mouth at every moment. Thoughts enter our mind. Desires are competing. We're interacting with different people. But we should deeply pray when we hear stories like these. Prajna Barhi was completely caught up in his materialistic perspective, in darkness. But through the light of the Puranas, through the light of the Bhagavad Purana, especially through the light of Narada Muni's instructions, he could see things in context. So we should also pray like that. Please, Lord, let me see things in context. Because when we do, so many of the things that may distract us, they're minimized. So many things that aren't clear. Just like when we're in darkness, we're not sure where to go. You turn the light on, it's pretty clear. So sometimes decisions we have or problems we have, it's like they can be pretty bewildering. But if we see things in context, it's pretty clear. And what is that context? Simple, actually. I'm spirit soul. I'm spirit soul. I'm a servant of Krishna. I'm a part and parcel servant of the Supreme Godhead. And I need and I want to dedicate my life to pleasing Him. I'm trying to do that. So that's the context. Let me see things like that. And I want to try to bring others to His lotus feet. And what's the context? Knowing that if I live like that, that's going to make me happy, it's going to make Krishna happy, and it's going to make others happy. So if I keep those things in context, whatever the winds, the waves, the hurricanes of material life, and we go through different stages, we know the whole changing bodies, they're young men or women, and then, adults, and they start as children, obviously, work our way through older age. Every stage of life, there's so many different challenges. But we keep that big picture, we keep the light on, we keep ourselves out of darkness. Remember the context. I am a spiritual being. I'm a servant of Krishna. This world is just passing through. I want to awaken my relationship with Him. I want to try to help others awaken their relationship with Him. And we keep those things in perspective. Then just like Prajnavari, he was like, oh, okay, it's time to go. Time to focus on my spiritual life full-heartedly. If we see things in context. When we don't see things in context, it's really difficult. And because materialistic people, they have no context other than a little material box. You are the body. Sense gratification makes you happy. Whoever helps you is your friend. Whoever opposes you is your enemy. The more you get, the happier you are. Nobody really knows what happens at the end of life, so don't even worry about that. I mean, of course, there are spiritual people, but generally the culture is pushing people more and more in those directions. They have no alternative. They have no other context. And that's why we go out, Hare Krishna. Or, excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Do you realize there's another context? Excuse me, madam. There's a much happier context than the one you're living in. Excuse me, sir. I noticed your glasses are a little thick. Maybe things are a little dark for you. Here's a little light. Here, please take advantage of this light. And some people say, no, I don't want that. That's okay. We'll be here tomorrow. We'll be here next week. One of these days you're going to wonder, what are the results of my fruitive activities? And whenever you're ready to ask that question, as servants of Narada Muni, we're there trying to humbly serve Him. Not that we have any great realization, but we'd like to also share with you the great knowledge of the Bhagavatam and help you put things in context. Narada Muni ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Purana Bhagavat ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. So I apologize, I went a little long, so there's no time for questions. Yeah? The announcement? It's all right? Okay, I'm told we can take a couple questions. I noticed on Saturday you only get till 8:55 officially. Sunday you get till 9:15, so I'll just steal some 10 minutes of tomorrow's person. We'll go to 9:05 each. How's that? Okay, any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Hare Krishna. My question is, in this current context, we are talking about not able to understand subject matter. But on the other hand, even if we do understand at times, the problem I personally struggle with is it does not remain for long.
Does not what?
Does not remain for long. That understanding, say if you are told to chant attentively, we attend a seminar or retreat, we are chanting a couple of days attentively, but then again you go down. So how do we ensure that the understanding stays on?
If you go in your house and you turn on the light, and the light comes on and then it goes off, and then it comes on and then it goes off, and then it goes on and then it comes off. What does that mean? One of our friends from the Middle East said, "You're in India." But more and more other places too. More and more other places too. It only went off for a minute here today just to remind us. Okay, so let's broaden that. One, it means we're in the material world. But, what does it mean if it goes on, off, on, off, on, off? Usually the big power system it goes off, but if it goes on, off, what does it mean? Any electricians here? What does it mean? Electrical engineer? The connection's not good, isn't it? It's a weak connection. So it makes the connection, and then the wiring's not, it's touching, but it's not connected. So in a similar way in our spiritual life, okay, we've touched some spiritual knowledge, the light comes on a little bit, and then a wind blows through the room, or some distress comes, or some happiness comes, or some distraction comes, or for us maybe some conflict with devotees comes, and the darkness comes again. So in simple terms, we have to connect. Yoga, we're practicing yoga. This is the king of education, bhakti yoga, ultimately to connect us with Krishna, to connect us with that knowledge. So in simple terms, we're just not so connected yet. We have to go deeper. We have to get more connected. And when we do, it becomes more steady. Okay? Yeah. And we shouldn't be disturbed on off. That's just our material conditioning. When we were taking this Shapa class the other day, one of the things that Maharaj instructed us very nicely is that, we hear about the offensive stage. We should just understand that's just a stage. It's not like I'm completely, evil person because I'm in the offensive stage. No, that's to be expected. We're in the offensive stage. But you keep going on, you come to the clearing stage. So same way, we're not so closely connected, but at least we're somewhat connected. So just keep going, get more connected. Okay? Any other questions? Any ladies have a question? Or gentlemen? Okay, I guess I don't have to steal those minutes after. Thank you, you saved me from committing a big aparad and stealing those minutes from tomorrow's speaker. Okay, we're in there. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi.
Prabhu ki jai. We'd like to also thank all the devotees from the GBC College. It is a great joy and fortune for all of us that they have come. Actually, all these days they were here and enthusing all of us in our bhakti. And now today GBC College is ending. So we'd like to really heartily thank them for coming here. And we seek forgiveness for any shortcomings in our service to them. And also hope that they again come here and bless us with their association. Let us thank them by 3 times loudly chanting Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hare Krishna.
And on behalf of my fellow students, I kind of have 2 roles. I taught last time and this time student. On behalf of the students and the professors and the teachers and the organizers of the the GBC College, I express our gratitude. It's really, everyone that I've talked to, it's a wonderful temple to visit. Everyone feels very, very nicely taken care of. Some of us have been talking about, that now we have to go home and get humble again, because we may not get taken care of so nicely when we come home. So, at home is, I'm glad you're back, wash the pots. Here it's like people just running around very nicely to serve you. So it's a wonderful experience for us to see the, real Vaishnava culture and devotee relationships, and such a beautiful temple. I mean, just walking in this temple is very inspiring. And all the various programs that are going on, so many voice programs and so much outreach, and #1 book distribution temple in the whole wide world for August 2019. Some of us, the first time we've ever visited temple in our whole life, that's #1 book distribution temple in the entire world. So we've been very, very fortunate, very grateful. So thank you all for the beautiful temple and community that you're developing, and thank you for hosting us. I've heard at least 1 or 2 of the students are hoping they fail. I'm not going to mention any names, but if you see them here again next year, you know that actually it's your fault they failed, because they could have done well, but they wanted to come back again. And they just decided, better to have another reason to come to visit the Pune Yatra. So thank you very much. Pune Yatra ki jai. Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki jai. Shri Gauri Nitai ki jai. Gaura Premanandi.
Hare Krishna. So for all the devotees, we have prasadam in the Mukunda hall. Please kindly honor breakfast prasad. Hare Krishna.